Hello class, welcome to lessons 2.2 and 2.3, which is all about adding and subtracting integers. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to add and subtract integers, and you should be able to evaluate expressions containing variables. Alright, let's look at some examples. So to start off with, I have 6 plus 17. Those are both positive integers, so all I have to do is add normally. So 6 plus 17 gives me 23. Okay, and if I move over to the right, I have negative 9 plus negative 6. These are both negative numbers, so since the signs are the same, what I can do is I can add my numbers together normally and just put a negative sign in front because I know it's going to end up negative. So I already wrote down my negative symbol, and then 9 plus 6 is 15. So my answer, negative 9 plus negative 6 is negative 15. All right, what if I have negative 12 plus 3? Why don't you go ahead and try that one on your own? Hopefully you said negative 12 plus 3 is a negative 9. I started 12 negative, and then if you think of negative numbers, it's kind of like here's 0, and I went down, maybe you could think of it in terms of feet. Like I went down 12 feet, but then I climbed up 3 again. So now I would only be 9 feet below. So they're opposite signs, so they're going different ways than before. Whoa. All right, and then the next one. I have 53 minus 7 and 53 minus 7. Just subtracting normally is 46. All right, so let's talk about some rules. If I have a positive number plus a positive number, that is automatically going to end up as a positive number. If I have a negative number plus a negative number, that is going to end up negative. And those are our first two examples, right? On the last page, we started with positive 6 plus positive 17. That gave us a positive answer. And then here we started with a negative plus a negative gave us a negative answer. And then next, look, we have a negative number plus a positive number. Our negative number was the one that had the larger number behind the negative symbol. So our answer ended up being negative. Then we had a positive minus a smaller number. So if we have a positive plus a negative and the positive number is the bigger one, our answer ends up being positive, like the last one on that page. And then if we have a positive number that's small and a negative number that's big and we add them together, our answer ends up being negative. This information can be really helpful when you're trying to figure out what your answer should be. All right, let's look at some more examples. This time we have more than just two numbers. So if I look at this very first one, I have 5 plus 52 minus 5. So I'm going to start out by actually rewriting this. Remember we talked about the commutative property last chapter? So I'm going to say 52 plus 5 minus 5. Because then I can see, 5 minus 5 ends up being a 0. So then I would have 52 plus 0, or just 52. Looking at the next one, it's already written in kind of a nice way. I have 74 minus 19 plus 19. And if I do minus 19 plus 19 first, I end up with 74 plus 0, or just 74. All right, and then in the next problem, I have 13 plus 6 plus negative 14 plus negative 2 plus 7. What I'm going to do is I'm going to group together all of my positive numbers, so 13 plus 6 plus 7, and then group together my negative numbers, so negative 14 plus negative 2. The parentheses are around those two numbers just to help you see that there's a negative with them, okay? So then 13 plus 6 plus 7, well, this would be another 13, so I could say 13 plus 13, which would give me 26, plus, and then negative 14 plus negative 2. I know I'm just going to, when I add two negatives together, I end up with a negative, and then I can just add the two numbers together, so that'd be 16. So 26 plus a negative 16 is the same thing as saying 26 minus 16, if you want to think about it that way. And that answer is 10. All right, why don't you go ahead and try this one on your own? Good luck. Hopefully you ended up at a positive 11, but if not, maybe double check your work and compare it to what I have on the screen and see what happened, what step you maybe got tripped up on. And your work might look a little bit differently than mine, and that's okay too, as long as you ended up at positive 11 for your answer. All right, now let's look more at when it's written as subtraction. Okay, so here I have 7 minus 9 minus 7. So I'm going to rewrite it as negative 9. And then this was a positive 7, right? It didn't show that it was negative. So if I do that, I can see that these combine to be a 0. So I'd have negative 9 plus 0, or just negative 9. All right, and then our next one, I have 54. I'm going to write my next positive number, 14, and then minus 17. 54 plus 14 gives me 68, and 68 minus 17 leaves me with 51. All right, again, I'm going to rewrite this next one so all of my positive numbers are together. And I don't have any of the same numbers that will turn to a 0, so I'm just going to leave that be. So I have 18 plus 16 minus 14 minus 2. So I'm going to combine my negative 14 minus 2, just like I combined my positive 7 and 9. Negative 14 minus 2 more is negative 16. And then I have 18 plus 16 minus 16. This part becomes a plus 0. So my answer is 18. All right, why don't you go ahead and try this one on your own? Good luck. Hopefully for this one, you ended up with a negative 2. You ended up maybe with a 73 minus 75. And since the 75 would be the bigger number, and that's negative, I know that my answer needs to end up negative. And 73 and 75 are only 2 units apart. All right, let's do a word problem to finish up the lesson. So we have a blue whale is at a depth of 275 feet. So if we have water and our whale, I know this is not going to be a good drawing. It looks like a fish and not even a good one. But you get the idea. It's at a depth of 275 feet. After 10 minutes, it swims up 172 feet closer to the surface. So that means, to start with, it's the purple whale. And then to end with, we'll say that it swam up towards the surface, right? And it swam up 172 feet closer. So I would say it started down at the 275, and then it went up 172 feet. So I'd start with a negative 275, and then I'm adding 172 because he's moving up. So if I did negative 275 plus 172, I would end up at a total depth of 103 feet. And that would still be negative because he's still under the surface of the water, right? And that 275 is bigger than 172. So you should end up at a negative 103 feet. Okay, if you have questions about any of these problems, please be sure to reach out for some help. I'm more than happy to assist you, and have a great day.